Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I've got Inga. You are the founder and CEO of Tvori ShapesXR. Can you tell me about the product and how long you've been working at this?
We started Tvori quite some time, but we pivoted in 2020 to build a new product, which is now called ShapesXR. And that was an evolution of what we've learned in VR and what teams really need. And that was, I think, a very right decision just because we saw the market trend to be on Quest, collaboration to be must have, and then XR team that were missing tools like this one, including ourselves. When building Tvori, I was really dreaming to have something to meet with the team in VR, to co-create together, to discuss ideas, to test them, even with end users, before we start implementation in Unity. So that was the idea. And we ran a bunch of interviews actually to discover what we want to create for Quest.
I was looking back at the video from 2016 of what the product was. How does it feel for you to look back at what this was in 2016 versus what you've arrived at 5 years later?
This is definitely one of the very, very, very early demos that was just more an experiment, which became the Tvori product in 2017 and 18. Those days we've been all experimenting. There were no standards, there were no best practices. How should we delete stuff in VR? How should we group stuff in VR? How to make it super accessible? I think we end up of building a very sophisticated product for disrupting 3D animation, but it's still much ahead of the market. And that's why ShapesXR should be more required by today's audience because it's not only for XR teams. As a team, we truly believe that it's impossible to just inherit existing flat 2D tools to build for immersive content or even for like real world services prototyping. The transition back and forth from 2D to 3D is so expensive in time. And that's why one of the use cases that you have and keep showing on the screen is not really about XR app. What if we need to see at the real scale and discuss it from all the perspectives? This one is an example of, okay, I'm going to develop a VR game. Before I get any build from my Unity developer, I want to envision how it's going to look like. I want to exactly know how to set it up and what is the right distance and ergonomics of my game. You can build something like this on stages, like a prototype, within a matter of 1 hour if you import your models, or within a matter of 2 hours if you build this from primitives. But still, before writing any single line of code, you can already test your future game, but already have all the right spatial aspects of it.
How hard was it to get multiplayer up and running on Quest? And what were the issues there? And what can you support on Quest?
That was the most challenging part of it. Tvori on PC, it's a single mode user experience. And it was clear that if we release on Quest, this should be a collaborative product. So that was essential for the product team. So this real-time collaboration was the most challenging task for our development team. And it's not as much that we have to change different spaces and talk. It was also about co-creation in real time, which is much more challenging. We are a team of 10 people meeting and we co-create in real time. And then you change the material at the same time of the same object. So how to synchronize all those conflicts, how to really prioritize that. And then given that we also have this interaction system, which is linear today, so it's stages, you can think of it like Google Slides in 3D. So we can co-edit different slides all together, but then we merge all the changes and we can see all the changes without any delay. So this is what I'm so proud of about. So when you come as a team in ShapesXR and you do your interface building, I don't feel any delay. So it's really instantly real-time synchronization for this co-creation. For intensive co-creation in real time, when everyone is building own space within one space, because again, stages are like subspaces within one room to make this 3D presentation happen. So it's comfortable without dropping of the FPS to up to 8 people. And then we are still running top at 72 FPS, and you can bring so many objects. It can be messy. If you're a designer who is presenting your prototype to the team, then you can push the limits and you can jump within a team of 20 people and it still kind of works even if you do some editing. So that was challenging indeed to do that.
I met you face to face at GDC, and you asked a really insightful question trying to gauge my opinion of where Tvori and your product was positioned relative to what Facebook was doing at the time and Google was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I want to understand how that journey evolved for you over this time, because 5 years is a huge amount of time. How did you get through, and how big of a release do you think Quest is going to be for you?
I want to be really honest, it was a very challenging journey for us. When we started, it was more to stay lean for a long time, even though in 2016 and 17 there was some sort of hype. We were not raising those days. We were really focused on building this product and stays as a small team to experiment as much as we can, to do this R&D, to discover what is the best UI for VR and stuff like that. That was super important. And we've been surviving by some project with companies like Cartoon Network and licensing other companies. Later on, we've been lucky enough to join Boost VC. But you're absolutely right that it was super hard on all the sides. So investors were completely sleeping on VR because it was definitely behind all the projections made before that. And I quickly realized that it might be a waste of time to focus on keep praising, because the traction was not really there, not just because of our product or customers, but people were experimenting rather than using it in production. The Cartoon Network released 3 VR games using Tvori, and then we licensed companies like Unity for design and prototyping, Walmart and Facebook itself. But that was still so small, and we've still been 4 to 6 people. And it's very hard to keep working for 16 hours, 14 hours a day on such a long journey. Right now, we are 12 people, and we will be raising money next year to really focus on traction. We hope that Quest is that market and that platform that would allow us to really promote the tool. We are still focused on B2B. This release on Quest is a huge milestone for us. I hope it will be very rewarding for the team, because I'm so proud of our team. Since we started, we have not lost anyone as our team members. So we are still the same team. We are growing, but we are still as committed and huge believers as we used to be. When Google started to close their projects in VR, that was not inspiring. Some new products by Facebook started, like Horizon. But I think we have our unique value proposition for professional teams, for designers. We integrate into the pipeline, which makes us really strong and unique on the market. I'm so glad that we have all these years of experience that allows us to move faster. We've learned so much about building for VR that it will be really hard to catch up. WXR also joined us as an investor, which is a spatial computing and women entrepreneur focused fund. We will be actually raising our first real round next year. I think 2021 in the beginning was still very hard, honestly. And especially for VR for productivity, we really have to distinguish between gaming, between trainings and fitness apps and things like we are doing. So if investors think of this as a tool, they're usually not that excited, because it's a long game for the tool to become really huge and 10 times multiply the investment. We are more than a tool. We are a platform. It's not just like you create your prototype. You invite your clients to join you early on and contribute to this process and get immediate feedback and do this testing before you start implementation. So it's much more than just designing. It's communicating. It's experiencing it early on, which is super important. So many other companies to reach out and build their agenda for the metaverse. It's also important. XR teams were mostly doing some experiments for marketing purposes. It was more like discovering rather than taking it that serious. I hope that it started to change and that we will be successful with Quest release, with product traction, and with raising next year. So this is the goal for us. But definitely the timing is much better now than 2020 or beginning of 2021 for VR.
We've got the interview here. Obviously, our studio is built in Quest standalone. We've got the hand tracking here. And ShapesXR is available on Quest as well. So we can just go straight from here into a multiplayer space and record both of our perspectives.
Right.
Maybe put them side by side and be able to show what you can do with these tools. So I think I want to leave this with one final question before we jump in there. You've just survived this really tough time in the birth of this market. How big of an opportunity do you think there is for your product in the next 5 years?
It was not easy to come to this moment where we are today. I'm so proud of the team and people who supported us along the way to go through years of, not that high excitement about VR. When PowerPoint started, no one could really predict that it's going to be the major tool or communication platform for so many years, for so many diverse and horizontal use cases. So we are moving further. Our real world is not flat, and the way we are interacting with our world is kind of spatial. Why should we design and communicate our world, which is now also such an intersection of digital and physical, using flat screen stuff? So I see the future for ShapesXR as really the major point where we redesign our world and where we create all type of immersive experiences instead of Google Slides and PowerPoint. Given that VR gives us this superpower of building 3D so accessible, it can be much more than just like looking through these 3D slides. You can build a very talkative prototype that speaks for itself, and you can clearly understand how the product or service are going to look like. It's going to be huge how we pitch our ideas for new products, for new services, for the metaverse as well, because for the metaverse, it's even more important to be immersed from zero moment when you even start just to ideate, because we always think in 3D. I mean, our brain thinks in 3D, then we have to transit to pen and paper, which is flat, and then back to 3D. So that we are losing a lot. So for the metaverse, I think there is no other way than being spatially immersed. I've never been so excited, honestly. Even when we started, that was like, okay, let's see what this entire domain is going to look like. But right now, with the hardware evolving, of course, it's super important. When we met at GDC in 2018, I had 10 kilograms suitcase with my headset. And to make the demo, I was always saying, okay, 5 minutes, I do the setup. So open my MSI, plug it in, then all those stations and stuff like that. Now it's a blast. I have 2 quests and I can demo collaborative aspects.
We were DMing each other on Twitter, and I was like, do you have your Quest with you? And you said you've always got your Quest with you. It's amazing how far we've come in just 3 years' time in the ability to share these experiences. And that's such a great way to leave this off, to go and jump into ShapesXR with you.
This is one of the very, very first spaces we've built, basically, and everything is done with just primitives from our library. We didn't have import those days. Now you can import your own models with textures, but this is just the creation from all this simple shape that you can introduce and then build stuff and, and yeah, change materials and colors.
Yeah, can you run me through? Well, that's amazing to watch. Like I've been in multiplayer VR for years, trying things like Sculptor VR. I tried Archeo recently, running on Quest. This is quite amazing, the smoothness of our connection here. It looks really wonderful.
Yeah, so let's kind of go through the basic tooling here, and then we can switch and go to different space to see other use cases. So this, again, for the lefties, it's on the right, but for me, on the left controller is a main creation menu where we have there's, different shapes and primitives and geometry that you can build from. You can grab them and introduce to your scene, or you can also draw them at scale. Like you see, I'm like drawing this shape instead of just grabbing it. So then we have a whole bunch of 3D UI icons. Again, this is all about like doing rapid prototyping and doing rapid creation, but you can try to change probably colors and materials of this of this creation.
So
You have
all the way up to
this,
2,000%, down to what?
yeah.
What's the smallest I can be? 5%?
I think it's a little bit more than 5, the minimum. So let me double check. Yeah, 5. Mm-hmm. So Ian, do we want to try to change the material of these shapes?
Yes, please.
Do it. I mean, I invite you to
Oh,
co-create with
okay.
me. So
Sorry, it's one of those things that you kind of have to wake up sometimes to realizing you actually can shape the world around you.
yeah. So you can just go to this menu and then you see this color palette and then you can say like, or something can become transparent, you see, something can be unleaded. So, but you can then undo also what I'm doing. So this was actually challenging, that we co-create in real time, we can undo, we can, see everything what's happening. We also have these mesh strokes to model stuff, or just like quickly, let me find some other type of stroke. So do this. To select things, you have to go to this selection mode that you just learned in our interactive onboarding. Then I select this group and then I can, get rid of it. We have text tool, by the way. Yeah, so sometimes you need to write text. But given that this is design tool, it's a lot about being precise. So, and to being precise, you see on the very top, we have this move tool, like this, the very top arrow, and then you see gizmos. So gizmo is a very powerful thing. Let me choose the shape to demo it. So if you activate gizmo, like let's say, let it be classic mode. So it's also, we have this snapping tool, and then you see with the classic, I can move it on axis, I can rotate it. So you can also try to do all these things. Yeah. All type, and by the way, Ian, it's very important, given that we had such a high priority to make an accessible tool. Whenever you're in menu, you see this kind of, when you hover over some menu tabs, you see this question mark on the green, and then we have 3D tips or video tips playing and kind of giving you more insights of what is possible to do. For example, like this videos or this video or this 3D tip. Like, when you go to in the menu to this triangle, which is on the top of your creation menu.
Oops.
Like on your right hand, you have these primitive shapes, like which is like Y button on your.
Yeah, okay, I've got the triangle. I've turned on gizmos.
And then when you see space and then mode, go for this mode like move and press this question mark, and then you will see the 3D tip playing for you.
I don't see a question mark.
It's on the left controller Y button for you, given that you're lefty. When you hover over with another hand, you see this.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, 3D chip playing and explaining how to. You can also go to custom steps and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And then, I mean,
that's really cool. So when did this way of visualizing tutorials occur to you?
So what, could you repeat, please?
This way of visualizing sort of how to do something, how long has it been in development?
So that's actually, I mean, we first started with videos, but we were not happy. Why? I mean, we still have some videos because it's probably hard to explain with a 3D tip. It was not that hard for us because it was all done natively, and whenever reasonable, we have this 3D tips instead. So those were animated in Tvori, by the way. but then we just brought this in. You see, you can also import models, like this one was modeled in Gravity Sketch, and then it's OBJ, and I can customize it easily later on. You can bring your OBJ with textures, you can bring PNG files, like your images. In this creation menu, there is an import button and a bunch of different assets.
Incredible.
We have many more features that let's go to the next page so that I can really explain a little bit more on other features. If you go to lobby, so this is the hamburger button on your right controller, like this menu button, 3 lines.
Yeah.
So once in the lobby, and then the very bottom, you see this arrow, home button, like.
I'm in like a menu system, yeah.
Okay, menu, lobby. Yeah, you can still hear me, right? So you see those different spaces. So now press join.
Join.
And then I say you the next code that we are going together. So the code is 25A 57S. 25A 57S.
25
A 57S. So I wanted to show you one space that actually is pretty heavy, but still runs at 72 FPS. So this is the imported model of this room. So you can scale yourself and you see this model, So we just you can get it in the internet. But then what we wanted to do is to prototype the UX of the future of, this AR experience.
I think I grabbed the whole space. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem. You can do undo. There is also kind of lock tool that you can also lock your environment. And by the way, it's very important to mention that with the first update after the release, what is coming is that, like again in Google Docs, I can say that you can join only as viewer or as editor or as a commenter. So that's kind of different roles for me and opportunities to share my space with others, different permissions and access rights. So again, if you now go to this creation menu with those shapes on your controller, right? And then you see the camera at the very bottom of it. The camera, right?
Yes.
And then you see this kind of navigate. Do you see navigate in the menu? And then say get in the viewpoint.
Oh, okay.
So now you're in the viewpoint and you can switch between different stages on your right controller to see this prototype of AR app.
Got it.
When you're switching. But are you switching? Because I still see you on the first.
I did one, 2, 3. Yeah, I did go to them.
Yeah, you did through the viewpoints, but have you listed the stages themselves? I mean, I
think I accidentally got rid of one.
Yeah. So on your right controller, could you switch between stages? Yes. Go. Yeah. Okay, cool. Viewpoints, you can set them as many as you want. And then also in the presentation mode, it will be like follow me, but you can jump between those. You can take pictures here. I can change your, if you see that camera tool, that you can see kind of your perspective here. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then you can will be that, I don't know, we are sitting here and my call is happening right in here. Yeah, something like that. So what else to show you?
Well, that covers a lot of ground in a very short amount of time. This is incredible.
But you need to spend time, to start really creating and to start kind of comfortable and flexible of building things.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is for everyone at home? What is the pricing model that you've landed on? How do people get
Yeah.
into this?
So this will be completely free on Quest. And then it means that you can do everything, absolutely the same free version. When you reach the limit of the number of spaces, and spaces is like project that you create. Like this is a space with 5 different stages, but it can be up to 25 subspaces in each space. So when you reach the limit of 3 spaces and 25 within each space, so it's overall basically 75, then you can go for subscription, which is like $9.99 to create up to 50 spaces available. So we think that if you really use it professional and you don't want to delete and create new ones, then you would go for subscription. But the free version is fully functional. You can do everything. You can import, you can export, leverage Unity plugin. It's important we also have the web viewer. So you can export this as a web link, and then it still will be immersive. I will send it to you, the same room. And then you can switch between stages. You can zoom in, zoom out, and teleport on your laptop. Or yeah. So, by the way, I realized that I forgot to explain you how to create those stages. So on your right controller and left for me, when you make this thumbstick joystick up, right? You did it?
Yeah.
So you now see those slides. Right?
Yeah.
So, and those slides are actually subspaces within a space. So if you say duplicate, you create the next stage. Yeah. And you can bring easily objects. So you can hold the object and bring to the next slide easily. So it's really like 3D immersive slides. Yeah.
Got it.
And
Incredible.
everything again is available in the free version. So no limits to your creation. When you have 3 projects completed, you can delete one, create a new one. But if you do want to have like many projects and share actively with anyone, then you go. But again, there is no difference. So the free version is completely the same.
Okay, well, we'll have a link to Shapes down on the Quest version down in the description of this YouTube video. So make sure people can go and check this out right now.
Yeah. So they can check it tomorrow when we go live.
I'll publish this when it's live. Yeah, that's on.
Yeah. 10 a.m. And then, it would be so cool for us, the first time we will be on Quest. So we want to see the difference because we know what to compare, right? We've been to Steam, to Reef, to Viveport, and we want to see if it's really this like much larger new community of creative people out there, not just gamers. We do want to see the potential for VR much beyond gaming. So we do believe that it's needed and that it's a blast to create in 3D in VR.
Yeah, resize one of my favorite things to do, and it's amazing how rock solid everything appears, even at such dramatically different scales in here. It's really cool.
Yeah. Once you are back to the lobby, you can explore many other, because you don't have to start from scratch. We have static environments like living room or medical kind of office or kind of classroom, whatever, pre-made for designers if you're designing AR on top of that. So you also can see some examples with stages, like example prototype that you can apply and like learn from them, like lessons. And you can discover those templates. And we already started to experiment with pass-through. And then can you imagine how incredible it's going to be to design just on top of your real environment? Yep. Oh my God, this is going to be huge.
I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be weird. So. It's going to be wild when we're talking 5 years from now and I'm seeing the version of these tools that you guys are building 5 years from now. I can't wait for it. It's going to be wild.
But I'm still nervous and scared of the reviews that people don't get it, or people who expect a shooting game and they get some creativity app. But let's hope that it goes smooth tomorrow.
Yeah.